Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to a brand new series and a brand new episode of Beyond Disabilities. This episode is slightly different to the usual episodes, as this is a special crossover episode of my other podcast, Cosplay a World Beyond. In this episode, we're talking about body confidence and body positivity with subject close to myself and my guests' hearts. I understand this can be a triggering subject for some people, so please be aware of this themes of this episode. So I want to give you a big warm welcome to my guest Ginger. Ginger is an incredibly talented cosplayer, one of the most positive and kindest friends I know. It's one of the biggest advocates for body confidence and body positive. Welcome, Ginger. Please can you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, so I'm Ginger. I started cosplaying in July 2020. I wasn't in the best place mentally, and it was a good escape. But then since then, my journey's been growing, and I've been an advocate for self-love for about 3 years now. I think that's correct. Time flies. So self-love and body positivity is something I like to shift a lot of my focus on now, especially in the community, because some people think you've got to look a certain way to cosplay or you've got to do X, Y, and Z to cosplay, but you don't. You can love yourself and love the character too.
Oh, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. Like, I know we've spoken a lot about body confidence, body positive, like for my own personal story. That sounds like I'm going on a X Factor journey. So my own personal sort of circumstance. It wasn't until last year that I really came to terms sort of with how I look like and how to be positive about my body. That throughout my life, like I've struggled and with body confidence because I don't look a certain way, that society sort of expects me to look like. I don't. I'll never look like a contestant on Love Island or a model in a perfume advert, which is okay. But what does body positivity and body confidence mean to you?
So body positivity is just about everybody is beautiful. Like no matter your shape, your size, your skin tone, anything. All bodies are beautiful, and the positivity is celebrating the bodies and celebrating the body you have, and obviously that links into then body confidence. Because once you start accepting yourself and start loving pieces of you, even if it's just small pieces, you start growing confidence in yourself and in your own body, which then just helps bring loads more. Like you can love lots more again then as well.
I completely agree, and they're very wise words. Like, I think there's too much pressure from society, and especially in the media as well, that only one body type is beautiful and one
Yeah,
sort of stereotypical generic look is considered sort of attractive, and that it's not okay to look a certain way. But that is complete and utter rubbish. I think, like you say,
agreed.
everybody is beautiful regardless of size, skin tone, anything. Like more awareness needs to be raised, which is why I wanted to do this episode like for ages of body positive and body confidence. Like for me, like I've always been sort of like a bigger size. I'm tall as well, and so my body's not really in proportion, whatever that means. Like, I've never been skinny, and I got bullied sort of for my weight at school and the way I look. I mean, being ginger as well. Like just three things sort of
The
going
triple
against.
whammy.
Absolutely got the hat trick. So, especially in PE as well, like growing up in school, like the teenage years are never easy.
No.
Please, could you describe your journey of body positivity?
Yes. So I started recently. So, like I said, about 3 years ago is where I started driving myself in the right direction. But for a long time, I always hated how I looked. I always wanted to go on the next fad diet. I wanted to make sure my life was skinny. And I think that's the best way I could describe it was because it wasn't even about happiness, because I thought that happiness would equate to skinniness.
Yeah,
I thought being skinny would be the problem of all, solver of all my
yeah,
problems. Um, and it actually was so much so that I had gastric pan surgery in 2020 because of the pressures of society, and I wasn't in a good place mentally. I was not with a very nice ex, like he was very awful to me. So all these pressures were building, and then having the band, you obviously lose weight very quickly. but I still wasn't happy. And
Yeah.
now actually it's being worse for me than doing anything. So please never ever do something like that. I've got lots of health issues that correlate now to my band, even though I had it not even 5 years ago. So I just wouldn't recommend
Yeah.
it. Your happiness isn't on you being skinny. Your happiness is being you and loving you. And it's taken me a long time to realize that. And I wanted to be someone that younger people could look up to and say, actually, my body looks similar to that. So
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about X, Y, and Z. Because when I was younger, all you saw on magazines was like, this celebrity's got cellulite. Oh my God, this celebrity's got a tummy. Next diet. And like they'd put diets in like the columns of when you
Yeah.
were like reading the magazines and stuff. So you try them. So it was like one time I were having cabbage soup for a week and I
Wow.
was like losing loads of weight. And I'm like, yeah, this is so good. But then I was like, I'm exhausted. So why pressure ourselves into something that it's not viable for everybody. And no matter your shape or size, you are still loved and you're still enough. And that's what I sort of really wanted to start pushing towards people, and just so someone had someone else to look to.
No, I couldn't agree more. Like, I think it's a brilliant and wonderful and selfless thing that you do that you're sort of so passionate about body positive. Because I agree. Like, I think, especially sort of we grew up in similar eras. Like, social media wasn't as big, but however, the articles, like you said, in magazines and like traditional media, like there was and adverts and things, they were very big. And especially at schools, I don't know if it's same with you, but at schools as well, sort of. I'd say there's some sort of I felt pressure at my school. Sort of, they were always on about PE and sort of like health,
Yeah,
not health, yeah, healthy eating and sort of like body size
yeah,
as well. Like they didn't really, mental health wasn't as big as, or as, I'm trying to think of what's
recognized.
recognized. That's the one. Thank you.
Yeah,
It wasn't
it's
as
all right.
recognized as it is now. It was still quite taboo subject. Like
Yeah,
and even though we had PHSE and things like that, like there still was loads of pressure. So I think like now, like just trying to sort of help people and try and not make people feel the way they did. Like last year, I think the reason why I went and sort of became more confident with my own body was just going to America and sort of like going to Disney. Like I know we both love Disney, but Disney is a magical place and it does do magical things. I know it's a weird thing
yep.
to say, like for
No,
body
it does.
confidence, but like just having the confidence, you know what, like the hotel had a pool, like Disney has the water parks in America. Like just go into there on my own. I thought, you know what, I was going to swear then. It's fine. You know what? Sod it. Just go there. Like I want to go to if I want to go to the pool at 8 o'clock at night in the middle of a sort of storm, which was amazing. Like there was a storm one night, so I'm getting on a tangent now. But and that everybody was there. Like there was I felt no judgment. I felt like there was loads of people there of all body sizes, colors, height, and things. Like that
Mm.
really helped a lot. And I went to that hotel pool every night. I went to the water park, and like everybody was so positive and no judgment. So that was my turning point. Like after 30 odd years.
No, and that's nice though.
I think
Oh.
just if anyone wants like a body confidence, then go to Disney if you can, or America.
Recommend.
No, absolutely. Have you encountered, I know it could be a sensitive subject, but have you encountered bullying due to the way you look at all in your life?
So I was bullied very, very heavily when I was growing up. And then obviously, like I said, it didn't help having all
Yeah.
these magazines and stuff like that. So when I was younger, I used to do kickboxing, taekwondo, sword
Wow.
fighting, and not jujitsu. There was another one. I can't remember what the other one
That's
was.
okay.
But I was still big. I was doing things every single day and I was teaching as well. So I was
Yeah.
teaching kids because I was
That's
like
brilliant.
at a higher level that you could teach kids and stuff like that. So I was teaching kids. So every single day I was physically active. So I was quite muscly, but also still big
Yeah.
in a sense. So
So
I would still get bullied for being
I'm so
big,
sorry.
bullied for being ginger. Oh, you don't have to apologize. Um, so I'd get bullied for all these things, and then being bullied for being weird and like not fitting into
Yeah.
places. So it was difficult time, and like I said, if I had just had someone being like, "It's fine," don't worry about it. Like that would have helped me a lot. So that's why I want to try and help other people as much as I can.
No, I couldn't agree more. I never did kickboxing or anything, but yeah, that is incredible. I respect anyone for doing any form of sort of like martial arts and things like that. But
Would recommend.
I like it. I watch wrestling a lot. Like one of my wrestling, I don't really talk about. I don't know why I don't talk about it. I love watching wrestling, so I'd love to sort of
You
try
should
something
talk
like that
about
one
it.
day. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. I don't know why I don't talk about it, but yeah, yeah, I love it. Like me and my mom watch it every week. She got me into it, which is brilliant. But like throughout school, like I never had any sort of support and growing up. I mean, apart from family, but nothing sort of no support net. We talk about body, like similar to you. Always got bullied as well. Like I was tall, but I've always been sort of a bigger size.
mm,
And similar to even now, sort of going to the gym, or like more confidence and going swimming and things like that. Like I am tall, but I am big as well. I don't look like some of the people who go to the gym, which is okay. Like it's okay. Like the worst thing you can do, I think, is to compare yourselves with other bodies and
yeah,
other people.
definitely.
But just staying on the school subject, can you tell me sort of if you faced challenges with body confidence school and were you taught about body confidence or body positive? Sorry, this three-part question.
It's
Do
all
you
right,
have any
Derek.
support?
So when I was at school, we didn't get taught that, all bodies are beautiful or anything like that. We got taught you needed to be one size, and that was the only size you could pass as. And then obviously, if you didn't fit that criteria, you were ugly, you were, awful, or you were X, Y, and Z. And it just gave like another targeting
Yeah,
point for all these kids. Um, And for me, I actually, and I still do, I have body dysmorphia and I suffered it from, I think from the age of 11.
yeah,
As soon as you start realizing that you look different to someone else and it's been told that that's not okay, then you start looking at yourself in a completely different light and you start seeing all of the flaws that aren't actually flaws, but it's just because you've been told that the flaws that then you think that way. But it'd have made a massive difference if we'd have just, even if it was just one lesson a week where it would just, or just someone coming in as a speaker and being like, you know, take 5 minutes, just look at yourself, something that you love about yourself, um, and, don't put yourself in the same box as everyone else because people have different health conditions that might make them a different size, or, we all aren't built the same way. If we were all built the same way, it'd be a boring world.
oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like, I don't know if I think I have some form of body dysmorphia. I know it's sort of. I mean, from what I see, like amongst my friends, I think because I'm friends with more females than males, I think it's more common around females. I think there's probably more pressure on
Yeah,
females, definitely, for sort of looking a certain way or being sort of a certain stereotype. Like, for example, I still have times, even though like I'm more confident now, like I still struggle with body things. Like the other day when I went to go swimming for the first time in months, like I tried on sort of hopefully this isn't too much information, but I tried on sort of like
that's
a pair
right.
of swim shots, but I looked in the mirror, I was like, oh God, no, and I went and got another one, like, and then yet yesterday I tried the same pair on. I was like, okay, that's fine. So uh, uh,
Your mind just likes to play tricks on you, and you've just got to
absolutely,
remind your mind that it's wrong.
it was definitely wrong. I felt okay yesterday compared to the other
Good.
day.
That's what we
Thank you.
like.
Exactly. Like it is okay to have sort of blips. Like we can't feel
Yeah.
positive about ourselves every day, but then like
Yeah, exactly.
just don't
Got to pull
listen.
ourselves back up from it as well.
Yeah. Oh, I completely. We've got to sort of hold ourselves accountable. Sort well, hold our minds
Yeah.
accountable. Be like and tell it off and be like, no,
Yeah, exactly. You're wrong.
you're
Wrong.
wrong. Like, I've worn this before. I like wearing this. It's okay to wear this now.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'd just like to go back to your point about
Absolutely.
saying women suffer more from body dysmorphia. I think women suffer more on the surface level and speak about it more, but I
I
actually
agree.
know a lot of men that suffer from body dysmorphia but will never speak
Yeah.
out about it. And I think that's a problem in itself. Like men need to be encouraged to speak out about problems in general and
Yeah.
you know men struggle with self-love and it's not just a gender specific
No, not at
thing.
all.
Female identifying um struggle, but also male identifying struggle. And I think it's just a everybody needs to love themselves, not just and I do realize that it is more common in female presenting people, but I think it's because of like we've been taught it's okay, we can cry. We've been taught that
Yeah.
it's all right to talk about your feelings. Whereas like on the other hand, it is for you guys and stuff like that, it's like, no, if you cry, you're weak. And it's like, well, no, everybody cries. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I
No,
just think it's very important if for males also to go, yes, this is something, or non-binary people. Obviously, I'm not non-binary myself, so I can't speak on behalf of that. But I am sure that they'll also struggle because of and gender dysmorphia as well is also a massive thing. So all these things sort of need to be talked about, and I think if they're not talked about, that's when people feel like they're more put in shadows.
oh, definitely. No, I think you're completely right. That's a very important right. Yeah, right. A very important point. It's important. Right? It's an important point to raise. I completely agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think although females talk about it more and female presenting people talk about it more, I think this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do sort of this episode in particular because you're completely right. I think. I'm sure there's loads of males out there that are males presenting people and non-binary people who struggle and with body dysmorphia and that it's just not talked about because like you're completely right. Like men are taught, oh, if you talk about emotions or show your emotions and it's weak, then you're not a man.
Mm,
It's not manly. And which is completely wrong. Like I
yeah,
think I'm trying to say this without sounding sort of cocky, but I think because like for me, my personal circumstance, like growing up with sort of my mum as the sole parent in the person, I think I'm more comfortable talking about emotions, whereas I think
yeah,
other like male presenting and male people don't um might not be as comfortable and sort of might feel some sort of shame for showing emotions or
yeah,
talking about these sort of things. So I completely think you're right. I think it is prominent in both, and I think everyone suffers from it, no matter what gender they identify with or what gender they are. And completely agree, it does need to be talked about more. It needs to get that shame ripped off and get that embarrassment sort of chucked out the window.
yeah. And it's not shameful to talk about your feelings or anything like
It's a
that.
strength.
Exactly, exactly. Agree with you there.
So what? So, oh, I need jumped into the question then. So
It's all
I've
right.
done podcasts before, honestly. As recently, sort of, I've become sort of more confident with certain body parts and actually sort of showing self-love to myself and sort of acknowledging stuff. So, like my legs and my arms, I think, you know what? Actually, I don't think I look too bad. They don't think they look bad. What do you love most about yourself and why?
So now I've got lots of tattoos. I love every part of me that's got a piece of tattoo, and that's why I've got so many tattoos because it
Oh,
is
that's a
my
beautiful
form of
thing to do.
self-love.
Yeah. Same.
Um, but I also like my legs. So from doing all the kickboxing and stuff like that, I have so much strength in my legs that
Yeah.
sometimes it's quite scary how much strength I've got. But
Good for
that's like
you.
my power. Like, my power is in my legs, but my power for myself starts there. And I think that's
Yeah.
quite a very important thing to go of like, do you know what? Actually, I can look down at myself and then actually look up and be happy.
Yeah. No, I think that's brilliant. No, I love tattoos. I've got a question about tattoos later coming on for you. But I've only got one, but I think I've got a second one on the way. But no, I agree. I think like tattoos, especially, I think they're such a powerful form of self-love. I think they're so powerful. Like whether or not they have sort of a deep and meaningful meaning, or if you just like the look of sort of a tattoo and you want it there, I think it's just they're just such a beautiful piece of art and just to show that you do love yourself, that you're willing to sort of have a permanent reminder of
Yeah,
that of that self-love.
because you didn't know, you had no idea, and also, you can only do as best as you possibly can, which isn't always. you can't always see past these masks that people put up. So you are enough, you are amazing. So just always remind yourself for stuff like that. It's sometimes a very hard road to go
Yeah.
down, but you will get there and be a shining light again soon.
I think that's sort of beautiful and brilliantly worded, and such important now more than ever to make that point. So thank you for providing
Thank
sort of that
you.
brilliant advice. So so we first met in the cosplay community. Like you're a amazing, very talented cosplayer and have such a brilliant wide range of cosplays as well. So we first met in the cosplay communities of your amazing and very talented cosplay with such a wide variety as well. So how did you first get into cosplay, and were there any barriers initially? And if so, how did you overcome them?
So I started in July 2020. So it was one of the lockdowns. Obviously, we had quite a few lockdowns in that year.
Yeah,
And obviously, I was not in a good place mentally, physically, because my ex was a very, very horrible person. It's just the easiest way to
was it?
say it. However, the most ironic thing was he used to go to cons, but he
Okay.
didn't. He never was a cosplayer. He only went for guests and stuff like
No,
that.
yeah,
Um, and I just saw it on TikTok because it blew up massively. Did cosplay on TikTok, and I
yeah,
was like, wow, I could just do that. And I mean, it's just started so simple for me. I only bought the wigs,
yeah,
and I might have bought a couple of t-shirts, but I just remember one of my first ever ones was basically a wig and a little bit of makeup, and I was like, "Woo, look at me!"
that's brilliant.
Um, Thank you. So it turned into more of an escape, a
Yeah,
passing by of time during lockdown, because I actually didn't speak to my ex during lockdown
yeah,
because we didn't lock down together or anything like that. So it was actually a really good time in that sense. But it was escapism. And then when I was working out the calendar going forward of what should have been the cons and stuff like
yeah,
that, all the cons ended up falling on days he was working.
yeah.
So I was like, I can go to
It's
these
then, yeah,
and not have him there. This is fantastic. And then I eventually did go to a con in 2021. Um, that
same year
was
as
my
me.
first ever
Sorry.
con.
Just
You what? Sorry, what was that?
that was the same year as me. I started
Oh
cosplay.
wow!
2021 was the first like con I went to in cosplay, I think. Like just shortly
I,
after the lockdowns raised.
yeah, I would say in 20 the one I went to in 21 the lockdown got raised like 4 days before the con. So
Oh, that's brilliant.
I know. But I got to go, explore without this person trying to
Yeah,
control my life being there. And I made quite a few friends. I had a good laugh, and I think that was
yeah,
the point of it. And this is I was just like, why have I been like locking
yeah,
myself and suppressing myself? And then I created like a cosplay group thing. And then it was called Yorkshire Cosplay.
yeah.
Well, that Yorkshire Cosplay to play off my own name.
Brilliant.
um, and I then set up. So I'd only gone to my first ever con in June, and then I set up this group, and then I organised a meet for the August bank holiday,
Yeah.
and that's actually where I met Sam.
Oh, wow. Oh, that was
I
fate.
know, I know. So I was still with my partner at the time then, but what just snapped me out of that relationship? It was just so weird. So there was a few of us all sat around,
Yeah.
a table. We were all talking about going to Florida. Um, and we all went to Gator World and we all fed the same alligator. And I was like,
Oh, wow. That sounds brilliant.
it was really good. I was like, what am I doing with myself? And then literally the next day I ended it with this relationship that had been incredibly toxic. And like I said, it turned out he was cheating on me and all this stuff
Oh,
anyway. So
awful.
it's, I'm in a better place now, a way
Oh,
better
definitely.
place now. Um, so cons were my escape to begin with. Then it was sort of like, actually, I've got friends there now, and then I've got people that recognize me. I always remember going to London MCM in 2022 and absolutely crapping myself because the amount of people that were
Oh,
just
it's
like,
so
"Oh my
overwhelmed.
God, oh my God, it's you!" And I was like, I literally stepped off the little tube
Yeah.
thing, stepped off it. Uh, and someone were like, "Oh my God, that's that Ginger cosplay," because that's my old username. Because they recognised my tattoos from behind,
Oh well,
and I was like,
what a way to be
"Whoa!"
recognized.
I know, but this, and then obviously my video started going viral and stuff like
Yeah,
that as well. So, and more people were recognising, and I was like, "Ah!"
I love that.
It was fun but overwhelming.
Yeah, completely understand. I had a similar experience. It was my first Showmasters when I went to London. Like I've never like had sort of like a massive following or things. I went. It was the first time sort of I had my first Spider-Man cosplay, and I went there and just and sort of like my old username was James the Ginger Cosplayer, and like it had like a few people sort of recognize me from that and sort of inspired. I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm like 300 odd miles from where I live. How do people recognize me? It's lovely, but
Crazy, isn't
overwhelming. Yeah.
it?
I'm glad that sort of cosplay, even though you weren't sort of in the best time of your life and sort of Comic Con sort of helped you sort of recognize that and help snap you out of that and
Yeah,
sort of help meet your that sort of life partner, which is absolutely
I know.
lovely as well.
We always say that we turn around and we're like, because we were friends, so
Yeah.
we met on the 30th of August 2021, and we didn't get together until his birthday, which was the 3rd of October 2022. So that's quite a
Oh
big
wow.
time just
Yeah.
being friends. Um, but it was just like I knew.
When you know, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh no, that's really lovely. Sort of like similar to you, like how I got into cosplay was again through TikTok as well. Like I saw loads of TikTok and like, you know what? I went to about 3 or 4 cons before then. Sort of when I went to uni, when I went to, sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I go on tangents.
It's okay. It's okay. I also go on tangents too. It's fine, mate.
Oh, oh. It's just an expression of creativity. Like, oh my God, I want to talk
Absolutely.
about this. ADHD. Um, but yeah, so I started when I was at uni the first time in Wales, sort of one of the students there started their own Comic Con. That went on to be Wales Comic Con. Obviously now that
Oh yeah,
doesn't
well,
exist, but yeah,
yeah.
at the time, like it was just a local uni one, but they actually got some quite good guests. He was in the year above me. So that was my first experience, and then I sort of fell in love from them. But I didn't really truly cosplay. Like again, similar timescale to you was over COVID, and sort of when lockdown was, I was like, I really want to go to a con. I really want to sort of
Mm,
cosplay, and then that's when I properly fell in love with it. And sort of like you, it was just a form of escapism. Like with my autism, well, I could be me. I could just have fun without sort of any judgment. And I was like, oh, this is so much fun. And then all these years later, here I am, just being my silly little self.
but that's amazing, though. That is amazing, and
Oh, thank you.
everyone's journey is so powerful, even if it's seems so simple to them. It's just it is a powerful journey and a powerful step forward.
Oh, I completely agree. And sort of like the last like few years, sort of like made this sort of close little group of friends, which are just absolutely lovely, and I can just be myself around, and it's just nice. Like it's just
Yeah,
a nice feeling, isn't it?
yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
So, as part from cosplaying, like earlier on, you said you do a lot of body advocacy, body positivity, and body confidence advocacy, and promoting body confidence and body positive, which like it what inspired me to do this episode of the podcast. Like, what inspired you initially to start advocating for body positivity?
I just think um I just didn't see a lot of it. I think that's
Yeah,
the honest answer, and I sort of wanted to be a voice for many, especially with how dangerous social media is
definitely.
nowadays. You could scroll three times and still see something that's could affect you. Or it could just be that you just see a one type of person
Yeah,
when you scroll all the time. I know obviously the feeds are a bit different now, but sort of when I started, it kind of was more like if you were popular, you were shown in the feeds a lot, and obviously those were the
yeah,
most popular sort of. I was
agree.
trying to break the ice and trying to say, actually, you don't need to be like that, and sort of trying to push people into, yourself is fine. Like, you don't
Yeah,
need to change yourself, you don't need to do any of that. And obviously, especially coming from someone that's had surgery, it's like, yeah, don't change yourself. Don't do any of that stuff because also that can just cause more problems down the line and make things worse for yourself as well. But yeah, it was sort of like I was so bored of
Yeah.
just seeing the same. I was like, there needs to be some sort of variety in there, and I have a platform to do so. So I'm going to do it. Was basically the whole idea behind it.
Oh, I think that's just absolutely brilliant and selfless reasons for doing it. I completely agree. And like social media, just at the end of the day, no matter what platform you're on, they always push their own agenda. They push a
Yeah,
certain sort of type of content. Sorry, I'm losing my words now.
it's all right.
Certain type of content, which is like you say, it can be very harmful, especially to like the young people. I sound old, to young people of today. Like then we didn't grow up with social media, like it came within our lifetime, but we weren't always used to it. Whereas obviously young people of today that they rely a lot
Born with it.
on it. Born with
Yeah.
it, they know
Mm,
about it, they're grown up with it, and it's so harmful. But no, I think it's absolutely brilliant what you're doing and all the work you do with body confidence and body
thank you.
advocacy is such a really important thing to do now more than ever. Oh, trust me, like I was yeah, when I was on that, I'm off my antidepressants now, but sort of like one side effect of the I mean I might talk about it in this actually, but
Yeah, you could do.
one side effect is body weight gain that I was on, and I put on a lot of weight when I was on them. I might do that. I'll see where to fit in.
I
See
would
if it,
say because I'm on the pill and I've been on the pill for oh God, 12, 13 years.
yeah.
So I was on it when I was started at 14.
Oh
And
wow.
one of those side because I've got PCOS, so one of those
Yeah.
side effects is weight gain as well. So I'm happy to talk about that if
Yeah.
in
I'm more than
general or
happy.
whatever. Yeah.
I'll slot that in as an extra. I found a place to put it in that will fit it naturally.
Ah, very good.
Sorry, this is how my brain works. I'm like,
No,
oh,
no, it's
let's
fine.
see. So, do you think media perception of the perfect body needs to change, and what would you do to change it?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's no two ways about it. I think just going from the media of traditional media of us being younger to
Yeah.
social media now, it always perceives that the skinny bodies are the healthy bodies, um, and that's not always correct. Someone
No.
could be going to the gym 5 times a week, 7 times a week, whatever, and still have disproportionate sizes and
Yeah.
differences. So I think it needs to be more inclusive and accept people. I have started to slowly see it. There has been slight differences.
Yeah.
I also still class them as token people though, because it's like
See what
one
you mean.
person rather than maybe a diverse group of people. It might just be set one. It's sort of like that. That's what I've started seeing more of. I mean, it's good to have the representation there, but it's
Needs to
like
be
it needs to be
wider.
more
Yeah. Yeah,
diverse
more than
than just the one person. Um, so a lot of even like you see at premieres and stuff like that. It's always
a body.
similar
Yeah,
people and then maybe one or two that are there, quote unquote token people. So that's sort of even something as simple as that could have a bigger impact on people because it's like, you know, nerds come in all shapes and sizes. So why don't
absolutely.
you get a nerd in all shapes and sizes? Sort of thing would and if I saw something that used a real person, quote unquote, um, I would be more inclined to buy it
Oh, I
rather
agree.
than or go and watch it or whatever else, rather than having these like cutthroat, this is how it is, perfume advert style
Yeah.
people. It's like I saw an advert for a perfume not so long ago, and it had a regular sized person in there, not a supermodel, not any of this, and I was like, oh,
Mind blowing, isn't it?
I was like, I wonder what that perfume smells like, and I was like, actually, that would work so much better than trying to push this. Obviously, a lot of businesses all they care about is the sales, so why not
So yeah,
use that
market
element
it.
in a sense? Yeah, yeah. Um,
No, I completely agree with you. Like, I know some clothing brands are starting to be very slowly. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's set, like you say, set one. Like some clothing brands, like they are
Yeah,
trying, but very, very slowly. Like, I know, like sort of like my mum, for example, she won't mind me talking about this, but sort of she is put off and sort of like tries to go to sort of but yeah, she goes to like we go to certain clothing shops and like they don't cater for anything above a certain body size, like especially
yeah,
for women and even for men. Like I struggle with certain clothes shops, and mainly like for my size as well. Like they only cater up to a certain thing, and I think like like I said, meet the media, clothes shops as well. I think they need to start realize, oh, hold on, there is
there's a more of a market for it.
more of a market, like a
Yeah,
real person. Like you're completely right. Like when you see sort of a quote unquote normal person or like on an advert, like, oh, okay, that's different. Like, oh, I would be more inclined to buy it as well. So I think it needs
yeah,
to stop
exactly.
using sort of like supermodels, stop inviting a certain be more inclusive when invite people to premieres, like you say, like you said, for example, in the cosplay community, there's every body type, every body size, every gender identity, like and skin tone and things like that. So
Yeah,
show it. Invite.
exactly, exactly. Showcase it and love it, and then that's how we can love ourselves too, is that it's being we can see that as normal then. And I think that would be a very good point for people rather than, these diet columns, these
Yeah,
when we were younger, and then these diet fads that you have on social media nowadays. Just see people as people rather than
absolutely.
people you would never be able to, shapes you'd never be able to attain, or, I'm not buying that product because it's just all they advertise is a certain type of person and I don't fit that criteria.
No,
Whereas if they changed their own way of thinking,
definitely.
they would open up so much more doors. And that's just from I did my degree in marketing. I used to own a marketing business,
Yeah. Oh
and
wow.
that was sort of what I was trying to do back then as well, was just sort of go, hang on, let's break stereotypes, let's do something different. And anything I always did that was different always worked 10 times better than
Can
something that was a
imagine.
stereotype. But it's just getting people on board
Yeah.
to do those differences, because people are so used to doing one thing, they really don't like doing something else, especially when it's classed as a
Yeah.
risk.
Exactly. Where they're not willing to take a risk or change, like they've been doing the same thing for years and years and years.
Yeah,
But it's not right at all. It's just it's wrong. They should be taking that risk, cater to everybody, help
mm-hmm.
people become more confident with their bodies, make um the mindset of like the wider society more acceptable as well.
Yeah, agreed, agreed.
So my next question is, do you think there is a correlation between body confidence and mental health condition?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you look at yourself in a bad light, you trigger all the anxieties, you trigger the body dysmorphia, and just general negative thoughts. You trigger all that. And when you're having a bad day in yourself,
Yeah.
body wise, or anything like that, it can easily fester and go worse. Which is obviously, I can speak that from myself. I've had anxiety, depression, PTSD.
Yeah.
I've got quite a lot going on. But
Bless you.
well, I've done lots and lots of therapy, and even my therapist back then. So I haven't done a therapy session in about 2 years because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at the stage now that I don't need it.
Understandable.
Um, but my therapist was trying to help me see my body in a different light, and once I started seeing myself that way, it was easier to then combat depression. And PTSD is a bit different. It's, you can't really control that in a sense, but you can. But that's not really linked. But I think
Yeah.
depression and like body dysmorphia and anxieties, can be very much linked to your own self, your sense of self,
Yeah,
and how you view yourself as a person and as just a body, can be really affected. And, that's something that I'm trying to go against. And it's hard when your brain's telling you one thing that you're
and
trying to
I
correct your
struggle.
brain something else.
No, I completely agree with you, and that's why I think like it's so. I'm going to say brave. It's so brave of you, like even though you have experienced sort of these like mental health conditions and also these struggles with body confidence, that in like you do try and sort of like you are so passionate and you do fight for it to help people and themselves. Like from my own personal experience as well, like got clinical depression and anxiety, and one of the big things like with both of those is like my own like in the past like with my own body confidence and comparing myself to others and thinking, oh,
Mm.
everyone else looks good, why don't I have look good? And I know that's a deep rabbit hole and I shouldn't do that, and I don't do that now, but I think that if there was more support out there and
Yeah,
more
agreed.
people talking about it, I think
Yeah,
potentially that it wouldn't have been as big as an issue as it did, which is why like I was on antidepressants for like quite a few years and I'm recently come off them, which I'm in much better place now.
that's
But one
good.
of thank you. And but one of the side effects of those was stop putting weight on, and that was one of the things that led. I was like I was working on myself. Like I've had therapy in the past as well, and the medication like did help too. But although the medication was treating the sort of anxiety, depression, like there was still that bit voice in the back of my head saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
you put on loads of weight." Like it's still getting me down. And sort of, have you sort of experienced sort of anything like that at all?
Yeah, so at age 11, I actually got diagnosed with PCOS, but I didn't get put on the pill until 14.
Yeah,
That's a different story. But since getting put on the pill, one of the main side effects is gaining weight. And like I said, I was still doing all this exercise. So I might have had muscle, but I also had fat, and
yeah,
it was a very bizarre thing in my own head to experience of I've I'm doing all this work and I'm not seeing any shift on the scales or anything like that. And it used to really like get me down. And probably if I came off the pill, I'd probably experience some form of weight loss, but it wouldn't be the end of the world to me now. Whereas back then, I'd be like, oh God, why am I doing it? But I was doing it for a health reason rather than
yeah.
anything else. So it's like
Understandable.
you've got to try and balance health and appearance, I suppose. And that's what like 14-year-old me was really, really struggling with. Um, but yes, it does make you gain weight, but gaining weight's not the end of the world, and that's something I
Absolutely.
needed to keep trying to tell myself. Um, like now, as a 26-year-old, I don't go on the scales unless I have to for medical reasons. I'm
Yeah,
going for surgery soon, so I have to get the scales so they
absolutely.
could
Yeah.
get the right like
Anesthetic.
anesthetic.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. Um, for me, which is fine. And I did freak out, and I'm not gonna lie, even then. So my health now has declined severely, so much so that I put on 4 stone in like 18 months, which is quite a lot of weight to put on in such a short period of time. Which is why the doctors are kind of listening to me now,
Yeah,
but the doctors are
I
still
know.
sort of pushing me to a side
Yeah.
and being like, "It's your own problem because you're a
It's
bigger
awful.
person." And yeah, it's been a bit of a fight, but I'll get there eventually. But I think it's the when I actually say to them, I put on 4 stone in this period of time, they go, "That's not very good, is it?" I'm like, "No, obviously not. This is why I'm here."
Like,
So obviously my gastro is failing, which
yeah,
is it's really ironic. So gastric band's supposed to help you lose weight and all this stuff. At the moment, the only things that really stay down are high fat stuff
yeah,
and stuff that can turn into a liquid. So like your chocolates and stuff like that. So this has been my life for well, it's been my life for a long time, but it's just got gradually worse.
yeah.
So I think you, there's lots of different experiences where your weight will fluctuate, but even if the scale goes up or down, your worth still stays the same. It
Absolutely.
never, you might have put on 10 stone, but you are still the same person in here, the same person here. You need to be, you're going to be probably exhausted with everything else, but you need to remind yourself that your worth is still there and your worth isn't equivalent to any weight on any scales or anything like that.
I completely agree. I couldn't, yeah, I definitely couldn't word it better myself. But yeah, just because your weight might change, whether it goes up or goes down, like you're still the same person inside.
Yeah,
You are still valid. You're still worthy. Like you still like deserve sort of to be happy and to achieve your goals in life and your dreams. Like I know it can be sort of hard, like with weight and especially like say with scales. Like if you see that you put on weight, then it's not always the nicest feeling in the world, but it doesn't change who you are as a person.
agreed.
Ooh, yeah, I know what I'm going to do. So, what would be your wishes for the future? What would you like to achieve? And do you think anything needs to change in society to help support you, myself, and others with body confidence and body positivity?
So I think like I'd like for the future to see more diversity in general. You know, a lot of disabled people are missed out on things. A lot of plus size are missed out. A lot of, there is a big variety of people. We're not just a cookie cutter type of type of race. Human race as itself has such a beautiful variety, and I think that beauty really needs to start shining through. So
Definitely.
whether that's shining through on social media, these brands advertising even on telly or through social media now because people don't really watch TV adverts anymore. Um, think they need to step up their games and say we are happy that humans are human and they're all going to come in different shapes and sizes rather than trying to put everybody in the same box. You just sort of think back. This is, before TVs, before everything else. But you think
Yeah,
Renaissance era, where the roles and everything was sort of appreciated. I know, obviously, disabilities and stuff like that weren't, but I'm sort of talking about bodies in itself
it
that
was.
was
No,
like
you're right.
everything was worshipped and valued, and I think we sort of need to take that step now and but take it even bigger, include disabilities, include skin colours, include everything and every walks of life. You could have someone in America that has a completely different life experience than someone
Definitely.
in France. Like it, you need to have a different set of people rather than same people or anything like that. And society as a whole just need to accept that humans are human rather than having this pressure constantly. I think is the best way to sort of put it.
No, I completely agree with you. It's almost like society has gone backwards in terms of body confidence, body positivity, because you're completely right. In the Renaissance era, like they did worship like bodies. They celebrated every single size of bodies. And I think we need to sort of take like their love of bodies and all different body sizes, bring it into 2025, but like you
Yeah,
said, with the disabilities, with the skin tones and things, and make sure everybody is included
yeah,
and make sure there is enough support for everyone to get help if they want or need it, and to get the sort of self-love for themselves back and to feel better about themselves. Because if the whole of society sort of started to love themselves a bit more and start to be more inclusive, the world would be definitely a better place.
oh, absolutely.
So this is a part where I'm going to hand over to you because like you, as like, I've been promoting on sort of social media, sort of like you're going to set me a body confidence challenge. So this section is all you, and I've got no idea, but I'm looking forward.
Well, I'm actually very excited for this bit. So you kind of touched on it a bit with our conversation
Ooh,
last night, to a little bit, but I am throwing a bit of a curveball. So it's not
do
just
it.
one challenge, it's
Okay.
three.
Three?
Three
My
different
lucky number.
challenges. That's
Yeah. What are the
it.
chances?
I know. So my first one is basically what you were saying about 30 days for
Yep.
me. So I did say I'm not going to clarify if you've guessed anything right, but
Yep.
you got the basis of it right.
Okay.
But what I want you to do for 30 days,
Yep.
every single day
Yep.
for a month, so starting obviously 1st of March,
Okay.
I,
Yep.
I want you to put on a story on your Instagram
Yep.
of something that you love about yourself or something, body part or
Yeah.
anything like that. Um, and the reason why.
Yep. I can do that.
But the main challenge is to try and not repeat anything you've said. So you've got to make a
See what you mean.
journal of it at the same time.
Yep.
So that's your challenge number one.
Yep. I can do it.
Challenge number two is a 6 month challenge.
Okay. You're
But
gonna
what
have
I
to
want,
email these to me. I forget that.
yeah, no, that's fine.
Message me.
Um, do for 6 months. So once a month, I want you to, or actually, no, for your 6 month one, every 2 weeks,
Yep.
I want you to do something that scares you.
Okay. Yep.
So that could just be, even if it's, going back to when you were saying about you didn't feel confident in going swimming in something that you've been swimming in before.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that scared you that day. So I want you to do something like that.
Yeah.
That's your 6 month challenge. So every 2 weeks,
Do
you need
something
to
that
do
scares
something
you.
that scares
Yeah.
you. And then your third one is a year-long challenge.
Ooh, big one.
So that is when it goes down to once a month.
Yeah.
But once a month, I want you to take a day out or some time out to go do something you love, but
Yeah.
also something that your body would love. So maybe go for a massage or
Okay.
something like that. And I
Never
think,
been for a massage.
oh, well, there you go. There's a
It's a good idea.
start. There's your first month.
Yeah. Done.
But that also could be, since you've said you love wrestling,
Yeah.
could be attend a class
Yeah.
or, you said about attending previous classes or something
Yeah.
like that. So attend a dance class, attend something you would think you would love, but has never tried it. I think is
Yeah.
a good way to describe that year challenge as
No, I
well.
really love all those challenges. Thank you so much. I'm looking
You're
forward
welcome.
to it. I think that like where I'm going to struggle is trying to. I'm not going to recognize what scares me, but I'll definitely try my best and I'll definitely throw myself into it. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. I just like I was saying, even if
Yeah.
it's not scared as in like
No, no. I hate spiders.
phobia.
Just yeah.
Yeah, it was like I didn't feel
Nervous.
confident in doing this, so I've
Yeah.
actually gone out and done it, gone out of my comfort zone and gone and done it. I think that's the better way to sort of describe
Yeah.
the 6 month 2 week challenge thing.
No, I'd definitely throw our best. And like, if unless if you haven't seen sort of my stories, we are coming back for a second episode at towards the end of the year, possibly into next year, to sort of review all these challenges. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. Like, I've had an absolutely brilliant time talking to you, and yeah, you're just absolutely amazing and shine positivity.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Thank you to all the listeners for listening to Beyond Disabilities. And remember that you are loved, that love is love no matter what size, sexuality, gender identity, or disability. Everybody is beautiful as long as you're happy with your body. That's what matters. And if you're in the UK and you like a confidential talk with a professional regarding mental health, even if it's body positivity or confidence related, you can visit Mind Samaritans or Switchboard, which you can access via phone or email. But spread the love and positivity that we should be accepting and inclusive of everyone every day of the year, not just on certain days. And I hope you have an amazing day, whatever you're doing and wherever you are. Thank you for listening. See you in the next episode.